Hello Math 8, this is lesson 3.9. It's the last lesson of the unit and it is order of operations with fractions. So just as we used order of operations with integers and decimals, we use them also with fractions in the same way. So we're going to use what we've learned this unit, the different methods to add, subtract, divide, and multiply fractions. And we're going to do those maybe within brackets or in certain orders based on the order of operations. So let's review what the order of operations are. So the order of operations, we remember there's this thing BEDMAS, brackets or parentheses, these things, whatever's inside them, we need to do those operations first. So if there's addition inside, we need to do that inside the brackets first, and then whatever answer is there would replace the brackets and what's inside. Then there's exponents, so those numbers up in the sky that we've only learned a little bit about so far, but we'll be using those in the years to come. Division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. And then we do everything left to right other than when we're doing these other operations. So if there's a bunch of division in a row, or a bunch of addition, or a bunch of multiplication in the row, we go left to right. Just like reading. So let's do a couple examples of things that you would have done last year. Questions that use this BEDMAS just with whole numbers. We could use decimals as well, but here it says 12 divided by the sum of 2 plus 4. So, what is our order of operations? Well, first is brackets. Are there brackets in this question? Yes, there are, which means whatever is in the brackets we need to do first. Since there's addition is all there is, let's do the addition. So this would be 12 still, divided by still, and then what's in the brackets? 2 plus 4 is 6. So now we have 12 divided by 6. 12 divided by 6 is 2. There is our answer. Here's another question. It's a little different. It has 12 divided by, and in brackets, the product of 2 times 2. Remember, when there's a number just in front of a bracket, means 2 times anything in those brackets. And then add 2. So let's do what's in the brackets first, right? 2 divided by, and here we have 2 times 2 plus 2. Which comes first? Is it division or multiplication? Multiplication or addition? Multiplication is first in BEDMAS, so we need to do the multiplication here first. So we need to go 2 times 2, which is 4, and then plus 2 and bracket. We still have brackets, so we still need to do what's in the brackets. It has 4 plus 2. 4 plus 2 is 6. 12 divided by 6 now is 2. So these happen to actually come to the same answer, and if they come to 2, then actually these are equal as well. That's just kind of a coincidence. I did not mean for that to happen. Another example here, 12 divided by, in brackets, 2 times the sum of 2 plus 4. So this is 12 divided by, and there's brackets here, so we're doing what's in the brackets first. But do I do the 2 times 2? No, because I need to do what's in the brackets first here. So here in these parentheses, 2 plus 4 is 6, right? And then I'm going to take the product of 2 times 6. 2 times 6 is 12. So this is 12 divided by 12, which is 1. So that's how we use order of operations in the past. Now we're going to use fractions. So it'll get more complicated, but it's really fun. At least Mr. Webb fun. So here's an example with fractions. 5/16 subtract 3/8 times 2/3. Alright, so our first thing is to use BEDMAS and think, are the brackets? Nope. Exponents? Nope. Division? Nope. Multiplication? Yes, there is multiplication there. So we need to look at this part right here. We need to look at this first, figure that out, and just leave everything else beside. So everything outside here, so the 5/16 and that subtraction, we're just going to leave. We're going to figure out the product of this. Now we have 3 times 2 over 8 times 3. Notice that there are your 3's that could cancel out, right? We'd be left with 2 over 8, right? which happens to be equal to 1/4. But let's not worry about simplifying till we get to the end, unless there's some arithmetic that we can't figure out ourselves. Now here we've got 5/16 subtract 2/8, but what do we know about subtraction? You need common denominator. Well, I can multiply this by 2 and this by 2 to get to 16 as my common denominator. So I'm going to do that. 2 times 2 is 4, 8 times 2 is 16. Now it's simply 5 subtract 4 all over 16. 5 subtract 4 is 1, so it's 1/16. So all this equation up here is actually equal to 1/16. So to recap, we have to multiply first because multiplication comes before subtraction in BEDMAS, and then we come up with our common denominator, and then subtract the numerators, put it over that common denominator, and there's your answer. Here's another example, a little more complicated. Looking here, we don't have brackets, we don't have exponents, but we have multiplication. I skipped division there. We don't have division either. So whatever we're not dealing with that's past our operation sign before, so our operation sign before and over, we're looking at just this part right here, right? So we need to go 4 times 4 is 16. 8 times 16 goes on the bottom. And then what's outside here, we just leave as is, 3 over 8. Now looking here, 16 can cancel out with 16. And remember, when you cancel out and there's nothing left, there's actually a 1 there. Don't forget about that. So this is 12/16. We're still working on this multiplication here. 12/16 and 1 over, that cancels, and we're left with 1 over 8. Subtract 3/8. Now what's cool about addition and subtraction is the order you do it doesn't really matter too much, as long as that's all that you're doing, addition and subtraction. But technically, addition comes first. So let's do the addition first. We need common denominator, and we will for subtraction as well. So we might as well figure out a common denominator. And looking here, I see these are both even numbers. So rather than multiplying two fractions, I'm actually going to divide this one by 2. So the question how it was given to us wasn't in simplified form. So this is 6 over 8 plus 1/8. Subtract 3/8. And now that we have a common denominator all the way across just addition and subtraction, we can actually go like this. 6 plus 1, subtract 3, put that all over 8. 6 plus 1 is 7, subtract 3 is 4. So we have 4 over 8. And 4 over 8 is 1/2. This is starting to look like that math that you sometimes see on boards and movies, hey? But it's pretty cool what we just did here. We took multiplication first. We found a common factor. So I could have written 4 times 4 here and then broke that into 4 times 4 and canceled out the 4's. But I decided to do it this way. But we cancel out. We treated the question as if that's all it was right there, the 4/8 times 4/16, and brought that down till we got to our answer, and then brought everything back in and brought it along the sides. And then common denominator, just what we do when we add and subtract, and got to our answer. We're going to do an example here that's quite a bit more complicated, and we'll walk through it. All right, look at this question in all its beauty. So, do we have brackets? Start with BEDMAS. B stands for brackets. Are there brackets? Yes. So everything else here is just going to carry down. Everything outside the brackets we're just going to write. And then in the brackets, we don't have a common denominator right now, but we need one, so it's going to be 1/8 plus 2/8, right? Because we need to multiply this by 2 and by 2, which means this is going to be 3/8, right? So copy everything down so we don't forget some step. We're going to copy everything down. 1 plus 2 is 3, and 8ths is what we leave it at. So then, do we have exponents? No, we do not. Do we have any more brackets? I forgot that step. So brackets, there's no more brackets, done. Exponents, nothing. What about division? Yes, there is. So let's do that. Everything that's not involved, 3/4 subtract. We're going to leave, and we're just focusing on this center part, 2/3 divided by 4/5. 2/3 divided by 4/5. Well, what are some ways we could do this one? I don't see any common factors on the bottom or top, so let's do the where we flip and we multiply by the reciprocal. So leave 2/3 the same. We're going to multiply instead and flip our reciprocal to our reciprocal, I mean. So it's this. And then we're going to go times 3/8. So here, 3/4 will leave, the subtraction will leave, and let's multiply. Now, notice we now have multiple multiplications across, right? So we can actually combine all of this. We can go all the way from left to right here, all in one, now that these are multiplication. And we can go 2 times 5 times 3 over 3 times 4 times 8, right? But I'm going to break up the 8 into something that's equal to the 2 times 4. Why? Because I'm going to cancel something out here. So I'm going to break this into 2 times 4 right here. Notice that I'm writing down my steps on the side. So first I had brackets, I did that, found a common denominator, then I divide and multiply left to right. So left to right, I'm doing this is left. Now I decide to do that one by multiplying by the reciprocal. I flipped the 4/5 upside down. And now I'm breaking the 8 into 2 times 4 and multiplying straight across there. Notice this is subtraction here, so this one's not included in there. So let's take that a little further. We've got 3/4, subtract. Now here we've got a 2 that we're going to cancel out. We've got a 3 we're going to cancel out. We're left with 5 over 4 times 4, which is 16, right? So it's 5 over 16. So 3/4 subtract 5/16. Finally, we need to find a common denominator. I meant to put the dot here. So that we can actually multiply these. And how do we do that? We're going to multiply this by 4 to get 16, and that by 4. 3 times 4 is 12. So it's 12/16. Subtract 5/16. And finally, we're left with 12 subtract 5 is 7 all over 16. So this, right up here, this expression, it actually equals in this equation all the way down to 7/16. Encourage you to watch this video at home again tonight. And we're definitely going to do some examples in our assignment when we mark it. My grade 8 math teacher, she told me that this is kind of the fundamental stuff. If you're able to figure this out, then high school math comes a whole lot easier. So really work at this.